Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to Jets Media. This is Richie, and in this video, I want to give you guys some of my takeaways I got from rookie minicamp. It is all wrapped up. We got some players that actually got signed from the tryouts for the New York Jets that were invited to rookie minicamp that was not, on the roster, and they signed them to the roster, so they're expected to join the New York Jets when OTAs begin next week. And we're also going to be talking about all the other news that's coming out of rookie minicamp to keep you guys up to date on what Robert Saleh had to say in his press conferences and some players to keep an eye on heading into OTAs. Before I hop into this video, I just want to mention, if you guys are new to Jets Media, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I appreciate all the support here on Jets Media. It means a lot to the channel, and I've noticed that we got a lot of new subscribers joining the show. So welcome to the Jets Media community. It's always a pleasure having you guys here. And if you guys want to check me out over on Instagram and Twitter, that is at NYJets_media. And if you enjoyed the video, please do not forget to thumbs it up. With that being said, let's dive right in. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the New York Jets acquired two new players from the tryout. So they signed wide receiver Calvin Jackson Jr. from Washington State. They also signed offensive lineman Derrick Kelly. So let's start off with Calvin Jackson. Calvin Jackson is a player that actually has a really deep relationship with Jermaine Johnson. He's another player that went to junior college. He has another one of those stories that really came from the bottom and worked his way all the way up to the top. Jermaine Johnson posted a video on his Instagram story congratulating him, really excited that they're both together. Two players that have a similar story in their own rights. So it's good to see that Jermaine Johnson has that connection with Calvin Jackson. And if you look at his tape, man, Calvin Jackson is one of those players at Washington State. He was second in Pac-12 last year in receiving yards. He finished with 66 receptions, 987 yards with 7 touchdowns. Second in Pac-12 again for receiving yards. And I feel like he has every single chance to fight for this roster, because if you guys look at the wide receiver depth chart, I think 1 through 5 is pretty much set. When it comes to that wide receiver 6, who is that going to be? Obviously, we have guys like Jeff Smith on the roster, Tariq Black, and now add Calvin Jackson to the mix of competing for that number 6 role. Another positive to Calvin Jackson's game is he is really good at special teams. He can return punts. He can return kicks. So watch out for him to make some noise. He definitely impressed the New York Jets during the tryouts. We heard from DJ at NY Daily News on Twitter, and he wrote an article about some standouts for the Jets tryout players, and Calvin Jackson was one of those guys that he mentioned. Another guy that stood out during training camp that was not, trying out, but he's already signed with the Jets as an undrafted free agent, is Irvin Charles, the wide receiver from Kent State. He's a big-time 6'4" long guy that has been really flashing in rookie minicamp. So I'm excited to see what these undrafted free agents are going to be doing heading into OTAs. And another player the Jets signed is Derrick Kelly. He's an offensive lineman that was an undrafted free agent from the New Orleans Saints in 2019. He played 6 games for them in 2020, and then last year he was on the New York Giants practice squad. So Derrick Kelly has every single opportunity to fight to try to make this roster, see what he can do in preseason, and maybe he'll be on the Jets practice squad heading into this season. That's really what I expect from Derrick Kelly. So those are the two guys that we brought in. I think we also waived Austin Walter and DJ Montgomery, if I'm not mistaken. So those are two guys that are no longer with the New York Jets, and they bring in Calvin Jackson and Derrick Kelly. Now moving on to the next thing I want to talk about, Sauce Gardner officially gets his number. Sauce Gardner will be wearing number 1. DJ Reed has switched to number 4. DJ Reed went to Twitter this morning, actually, and said he posted a picture of him wearing number 4. And he was joking around with Twitter that some people on Twitter were making funny tweets saying that Sauce Gardner is going to pay a lot of money for that number 1, and DJ Reed better be ready for it. And DJ Reed had a lot of fun with it on Twitter. And now it's official. Seems like, according to DJ Reed, he'll be wearing number 4, and Sauce Gardner gets his jersey number from Cincinnati, that being number 1. I know that this isn't, breaking crazy news, but I know some Jets fans really, care a lot about jersey numbers. And hey, we want Sauce Gardner wearing number 1, wearing his collegiate jersey. So I'm totally okay with that. And shout out to DJ Reed for giving the rookie his jersey number, because DJ Reed snagged that number 1 right when he was signed with the New York Jets, and he was excited to rock that number 1. But he gave it up to the rookie, and you love that chemistry already brewing with DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, are 2 starting corners on the outside. So that's definitely something to look out for. And of course, Sauce Gardner did sign his rookie contract. I also posted my player profile video on Sauce Gardner if you guys want to see my in-depth breakdown of Sauce Gardner as a prospect, his strengths, his weaknesses, his stats, some expectations I have for him, and some player comparisons that I have for Sauce Gardner. I got a whole new series here on Jets Media where I break down each individual rookie, and the first video is out with Sauce Gardner. Next one is Garrett Wilson, so stay tuned for that. Another interesting takeaway that I got from what Robert Saleh had to say with the media is he is completely switching the OTAs this year. Something different from last year. What they did under Robert Saleh is when OTAs come around, they're going to be doing a lot of 7-on-7, and the offensive line and defensive line is not going to be involved in the simulated practices. So when Zach Wilson is, practicing with the receivers, it's just going to be Zach, the receivers, against the defensive backs, and they're not going to have a live pass rush. So that's up to Robert Saleh and the coaching staff to get creative and make sure that Zach Wilson and all the quarterbacks can have that timing and make sure they can get that simulated pass rush. I feel like the reason they're doing this is they do not want the people in the trenches, the offensive and the defensive lines, being banged up early in OTAs. They're trying their best to making sure that these players can be healthy for week number 1, because they saw what happened last year with all the injuries in OTAs and training camp. So I do not blame Robert Saleh and the coaching staff trying to get creative and trying to figure out a way to keep everybody healthy as much as possible. So it will be interesting to see how, like I said, they will simulate the pass rush in spring for Zach Wilson and Mike White and Joe Flacco, because, I don't think you can get the most practice when you're just throwing 7-on-7 and it's just wide receiver versus defensive backs and there's no, pass rush coming at you, no pocket, to be, practicing pocket presence and your footwork in the pocket. Obviously, that's a big part of being a quarterback in the NFL, is being able to get the timing down, being able to escape pressure, being able to, step up in the pocket. And that's something that the Jets coaching staff really needs to simulate, because we want Zach Wilson and Mike White and Joe Flacco, all the quarterbacks on the roster, to have that live pass rush during the spring. But it's all good, because when training camp comes around, that's when the pass rush will be here. That's when the pads go on. That's when it's going to be full-on gauntlet football with this training camp under Robert Saleh, which will be a lot of fun. And to finish off the rookie minicamp takeaways, my biggest takeaway is there's a lot of hype around the New York Jets rookie class right now. Not even just from me, not even just from Jets fans, but the hype is real around the NFL. And we all know this. If you turn on ESPN, you turn on NFL Live, you turn on NFL Network, all these talk shows about the NFL, the Jets are a topic of conversation, because what Joe Douglas did in the 2022 draft by getting Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall, Jeremy Ruckert, Max Mitchell, and Michael Clemens. There's a lot of buzz even around Michael Clemens, who was the final selection for Joe Douglas. So the hype is real, and it's really cool to see that we're being acknowledged by the media, that it's not just us Jets fans being, biased and delusional, and we're just, checking off everything Joe Douglas does. Like, no, you can tell that what Joe Douglas did in 2022 was so good, to the point where we are a topic conversation, and the hype is going to be serious heading into 2022 because of the young talent that we have. And add on the talent that we got in last year's draft class, with Elijah Moore entering year number 2, Elijah Vera Tucker, Michael Carter, obviously Zach Wilson, guys like Michael Carter II, who'll be starting in year number 2, Brendan Eccles, all those guys from last year's draft class. But I think last year's draft class was pretty darn good. And the fact that Joe Douglas hit it out of the park again this year, even better, that tells you that the New York Jets are trending in the right direction. That's the one thing I will say when, Jets fans are getting a little worried, like, whoa, are the expectations getting a little too high? What should we expect from this rookie class? We need to win the drafts. We need to add young talent now in the offseason in April and May, before we can start winning football games when it matters the most during the season. So that's my takeaways from rookie minicamp. Next up will be voluntary OTAs that starts up, I'm pretty sure, next week in phase number 3. I'm super excited to continue posting New York Jets content here on Jets Media, giving you guys all the latest news of what Robert Saleh is saying to the media, some snippets from other players that are talking to the media, and all the latest news I'll be breaking down here on Jets Media, of course. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you did not hit that like button already, please make sure you do so. Really helps out the channel a ton. And don't forget to leave a comment down below your thoughts of all the stuff that I talked about in this video, and any takeaways that you got, and any questions you might have for me that I'd love to answer it down below in the comments. That does it for this video, and I'll catch you in my next one. Let's go Jets. Peace.